Alright guys, welcome back again with me, and in this occasion I will explain to you about the analysis of the short story of the Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. So let's start now, and in these sections I will be covering about the plot, character, setting, point of view, symbolism, and then figurative language, themes, conflict, and the last is the message. So let's start by the plot first. So the first one, let's look at the graphic here. This is the plot, and in the Gift of the Magi, the exposition, right? The exposition here is happening when the main character is introduced. There was a woman named Della. She was counting her money and realized that it was not enough to buy a present for Jim, her husband. So the character here is Della and Jim. She felt really sad that the next day would be Christmas, and she still didn't know what to do. She really wanted to buy Jim a present. So here the exposition or the introduction, and then we are going to the rising action. The story goes on to rising action. It happens when Della was totally in the deep confusion about what she could do. She only got $1.87 as the result after she had saved every penny for a month. She knew that this money would never be enough for such a great present. She cried for a while, but then she found out that she had to take a risk. It is told that Della had an extremely long brown hair. She immediately went out of her house and searched for any store that would buy her hair. So she goes to Sophroni's store and she sold her hair there, and Madame Sophrony then examined her hair and quickly told Della that her hair was worth $20. After that, Della go to the home and she went to a store where she finally found the right present for Jim. And then the rising story here is led us to the climax. The climax one, or the peak of the conflict. So the climax in this story happens when Jim finally went home from work. Seeing his wife's hair cut off, he suddenly just stands still at his place without being angry, surprised, or disapproval. He asked his wife to make sure that her hair had been really cut. Della cried and told him that she cut it off and sewed it. Okay, this is the climax, guys. And then right now we are going down to the falling action. And the following action, this story is when Jim took out the package from his coat and spoke to Della. He seemed to feel alright. He didn't mind about Della's short hair. He asked Della to unwrap the package to make Della understand why it was like that at the first time he saw Della. She opened the package and cried hysterically. It was a set of made of pure tortoise shell with jeweled rims. It was all that she had dreamed for a long time. After that, Della gave him the chain that she bought and asked Jim to try it on his watch. However, Jim didn't obey that. He threw himself in a couch. That is the falling action. And then finally, we are going to the resolution or the conclusion of this story. The ending of the story can be considered as resolution, since Jim and Della were happy in the end. Jim finally told his wife that put the presents away for a while and stated that they were too nice to be just a present. While sitting on the couch, he told Della that he had sold his watch to buy the comb set for Della. Now Jim asked his wife to prepare the dinner for the both. And finally the story ends. And then let's go into the character and personality. So the character here in this story are three. They are Della, Jim, and Madame Sophrony. Here, the Della is considered to be the major character, since she is the one who appears from the beginning until the end of the story. So Della is the major. And then, because the beginning of the story is telling about Della's confusion to buy present for Jim, and then her husband, until she finally did a sacrifice in order to be able to buy a nice present. Meanwhile, Jim here also can be considered as the major character too. Because of why? Because he is another person who has a relationship with Della, the first major character. Jim also has interactions with Della that create a good flow of the story. Besides, there is actually one minor character. So Madame Saffron here is the minor one. Because of why? Because she only appeared in the middle of the story for a moment. So she doesn't appear in a whole of story and only appears in one action. So that is why Madame Saffron here is considered to be the minor character. From the personality too, we can conclude that Della is dynamic character because her physical appearance changed from the beginning of the story until the end of the story. So Della here is the dynamic because her appearance look is changing. So we know that in the first of the story, Della is told that she has the beautiful brown long hair, and then in the conclusion we know that Della cut off her hair and her hair becomes short. So she is the dynamic character. Besides the dynamic, she is also the flat character. Because of why? Because her way to interact with other characters throughout the story tends to be the same from the beginning until the end. So her character is the same, her personality is the same. So yes, she is the flat one. So we are going to the Jim. However, he is the static character because his physical appearance didn't change at all. From the beginning of the story until the end, Jim is still Jim. Jim is still the way he is. So he is a static, and he is also the flat character because his way to interact with other characters throughout the story tends to be the same. His way to interact with the other characters is the same from the beginning till the end. So he is the flat. And then the last one is Madame Sofroni. She is a stock character or the figure one because she doesn't appear in the whole story. She just appears in one moment when Della sold her hair to Madame Sofroni. So she is the stock character in the story. Alright, now we are going to the setting. The setting okay, in the Gift of the Magi, the story takes place. Well, we are now going to the setting of place and setting of time. The first one is the place. The story takes place at Della's and Jim's house. This is the first one. Della's and Jim's house and Madame Sofroni's store and store for Jim prison. Because of why? We know already that the story of the beginning and the end of the story is taken in Della's and Jim's house. Since Della is confusing, what gift will she give to her husband? And then at the last of the story, there is told that after the dinner, they have the small talking and give each other gift in the Della and Jim's house. And then the second, Madame Sofroni's store. This story happens when Della sold her hair to Madame Sofroni, and then the store for Jim's present, because we know that Della buys a chain for her husband, and this happens in store for Jim's present. And then the second one is the time. The time here takes place before Christmas Eve, I suppose that this theme of setting of theme began in the morning, and then Della is confused, going out to sell her hair by prison, and when the evening James came, and that is the story. Yes. Okay, right, now we are going to the point of view. Here the point of view is non-participant omniscient third person, because the narrator is telling us by the third person, he or she or it, that is Della and Jim. And then omniscience, because he doesn't know everything of feelings of the character. All right, now we are going to the symbolism. Here I found some of symbolism in this short story. The first one is the Gift of the Magi. So here, in fact, the Gift of the Magi is symbolizing in reference to the three Magi. This is the story about three wise men. They come bearing gift of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to baby Jesus in Bethlehem. That is the legend. That is the tale. And then, besides, it's also symbolized wisdom, because Della and Jim is admonished by the narrator as two foolish children in a flat who most unwisely sacrifice for each other the greatest treasures of their house. So they are wisest. So this is symbolizes wisdom. And then Della's hair. This means feminine beauty, sensuality, and youth. Jim watch is presenting the prosperity, success, and pride. The comb is represents a man's love to his wife, and the last the gray cat. Probably we don't really realize that there is a gray cat in the story, and this is just the simple thing, but actually this have the hidden meaning there, that is loss of hope, sadness, or birthplace. Since in the first story that is told that Della is confusing because she doesn't have money and she wants to give her husband presents. Alright, now we are going to the figurative language. I found some of figurative language also here. There is simile, metaphor. Yes, there is simile, metaphor, and then the last one is hyperbole. So let's going to the simile. Rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. So this is the rippling. The Della's hair is resembling or similar to like a cascade of brown waters. The second is I look like a Coney Island chursker. So the words like here is presenting the simile. I look like a Coney Island church girl. The third one is as immovable as a statue at the saint of choir. So as and as here is describing immovable. So this is also includes the simile. The second one is the metaphor. I found one metaphor here. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her. That is the figurative language of metaphor. And then we have the hyperbole. The first one is she was ransacking for the stores for Jim's present. So this means so hyperbole. The second is and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. It's just 2 hours but trip on the rosy wings. This also the hyperbole. And the second and the third one is for there lay the combs, the set of combs side and back that Della had worshipped for long in the Broadway window. So Della had worshipped for long. This sentence is containing the hyperbole meaning. Alright, so we are going to the conflict. The conflict here is the extra conflict, because this is the problem about man versus poverty or man versus society. The poverty here, because the man here, this is the Della. So Della is confused to buy what presents to her husband, since she is so poor that she only has $1.87, and this doesn't mean at all. So she is suffering with poverty. Besides, she is also so suffering with society too, since she is so poor. Alright, now we are going to the themes. In my opinion, the story have the themes. Alright, in my opinion, the story have the themes of love and sacrifice. So the love here is because Della love with James loves with Della, and because of the love, they sacrifice everything for her or his love until they sell their most precious thing to the loved ones, and finally this is useless. And then the message here, we are having some messages here. The first one is love is the most important gift. So no matter what, no matter how precious, how expensive your gift is, the most important gifts in this world is love. And the second is love is a greater gift than anything. So you know that in this story, the comes and the chain of Jim's watch doesn't mean anything, since love is the greater one. And the third is sacrifice sometimes could be pointless. So we know that both of them has sacrificed her or his most precious things, but in the end it could be pointless or useless. Alright guys, that is the analysis of the short story The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry, in my opinion. So thanks for listening me, and I hope this video will be useful for us in analyzing some other short story, and thank you for watching.